Everybody, welcome to my man shed. Peter here. Nothing done to the layout since I last made a video because she's virtually done all the scenic work. I can now sit back and play trains. There's a little bit more to do, but there's nothing to show you new on the layout from what you last saw in the video. However, what you are looking at is a new early Christmas present to myself. This GBRF rail freight class 66 number 66731 with a nameplate interhubGB. Got it off of Evil Bay. Now this particular model, some YouTube videos, people doing an unboxing, they're dated as 2013, so I guess that's when this model first was released. And she's some careful owners kept it in perfect condition. Whether or not I don't think they've used it, to be honest, guys. It's mint. I mean, the first thing I did once I got a decoder in it and got running, before I put it on the track, I cleaned the wheels. They needed cleaning. No, it weren't bad, but I got them to a nice shiny. I used the old glass fibre pen, and yeah, brilliant. So nice and clean. Put it on the old track, and she is going round perfectly. So yeah, over the moon. So I've got myself a 66 livery that I've been after. I know Hattons are bringing out their what do you call it, interhub livery, and I might well treat myself to one of those as well when they come out, because they're slightly different with the headlight arrangements and whatever, different numbering obviously. But really what I'm talking to you about is not to talk about a class 66 by Bachmann, because we all know what they're like. Obviously we're all waiting for Hattons ones, but it's the actual decoder that's fitted in it. Now I've got another class 66 Bachmann which has got the Hornby TTS chip in there, and that is absolutely fine. 8-pin socket, because it's an old Bachmann, so it needed the 8-pin socket. I know you can get adapters if you want to convert 8 to 21 and vice versa, but yeah, in my old Bachmann one it was an 8-pin. Everything works fine once you change the algorithm on the decoder from the 0 to 1, and then she ran absolutely fine. So, and that's the way she is. She's sitting in the engine shed at the moment. But you sometimes try to get hold of a TTS chip, and you obviously, engine specific what you're after. You'd probably find, I had trouble with my class 60 and a class 67. I went to try and get a Hornby chip, and there was none available. Nobody had one in stock, and don't know when Hornby are going to release a new batch. So you think, oh, flipping heck, Well, the chip that's inside this class 66 is by a company called Soundtraxx. And there's a 21-pin decoder in there. They do the 8-pin decoder as well. The thing you need to do is you need to get the speaker, because it doesn't come with a speaker. It's in about the £70 price range, so it's more expensive than the TTS Hornby, but a lot cheaper than the ESU Locksound one, which basically is fitted into virtually every other locomotive that I own. So that's fitted into there, so it's 70 odd quid, so certainly cheaper. But the great thing about it is it doesn't do one loco. It's not one loco specific. It's classed as for UK diesel, and she deals with, let's have a look. I'll count up for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 British diesels, because it's obviously a diesel. They do them for steam, but this is the British diesel decoder, and it's got sound files for 6 British locos. So it's a question you've got to know to change your CVs, because I think it defaults as a class 20, but as soon as you've got power going to it, you go into a CV setting and you change it to, and in this case I'll read out what they are. So they are a class 20, a class 31, class 37, a class 47, and the 66/67. Reason why you can have a 66/67, evidently it's the same engine, just that the 67 has a higher gearing, so it can do express rail, passenger rail, you know, so that's the difference. So I wouldn't, well, it's alright, I've kept it for the 66, I don't know if I would want it for my 67, but I'll give you a demonstration of it in a second. But that's the beauty of this chip. One chip covers half my fleet, you know. I mean, if I got a 37 and I want a chip for it, same chip, just change the CV to the 37 sound. And the same thing happens, oh, an aeroplane flying over, the same thing for the horn. Now, Americans do like their horns, and I'll probably say that's the only thing that's not similar to my other 66s with the ESU lock sounds, but I've got a horn on there which should suffice. And it's got other sounds and things, just like most of the, you know, flange, squeal and things like that. And obviously the lights, as you can see, the light is on. And this particular model, being a more up-to-date one, it's got a cab light, and that's on there. But yes, it's this Econami Soundtraxx digital decoder. Doesn't come with a speaker, and the speaker has to be an 8 ohm speaker. So that, in my case, because I get my speakers from Richard at Roads and Rails, that means it's a single iPhone speaker, whereas in my 37s and in my other 66s, which have the ESU lock sound chip, they go for a 4 ohm double iPhone speaker. But however, this little bugger with a single iPhone, it chucks out quite a bit of noise, really. You'd be surprised. So I'm well and happy. So that's it. So yeah, 70 quid for the decoder, and then you've got to find yourself paying an extra 2 or 3 quid to get another speaker for it. Don't have to wire. I mean, because this Bachmann is a more up-to-date Bachmann, the motherboard on it, the PCB board, has got the connections for a speaker, and then obviously once you put the decoder actually onto the motherboard, you know, you don't need the speaker wires soldered to the decoder. The 8-pin decoder that they sell doesn't come with any sockets. It comes with all the wiring, in 4 wires out one side, 2 being for the speaker, 2 being for stay alives if you want stay alives fitted. But the other, I think it's 9 wires at one side have to be soldered to an 8-pin plug if you're going to put it onto an 8-pin locomotive, and then I think you end up, but they're all colour coordinated, you can't go wrong with the colours. And what I did is that I soldered, when I had a decoder from a fried TTS chip, I cut the wires and I literally soldered wire to wire with little heat shrinks going around each individual one. So I ended up with 8 little individual soldering jobs, and then there's a spare wire which I think is a grey or brown, but I don't know what that's for, some auxiliary function that you might find for the chip. But that's what I did anyway. So my soldering iron is not good enough to be able to solder to something like an 8-pin socket plug, so I elected just to cut the wires, so I was soldering wire to wire. That made an easier job of it. But got no issue with this one, because this is a straightforward 21 pin straight onto the motherboard, onto the PCB board, speaker to the PCB board as well, and you've got sound. So do you want a little demonstration of what she does? Oh, before I do that, another weird thing, you're looking at it with just the lights on and no sound. I don't know what it is with a chip. I'm going to turn the power off to the track. There we are. So everything's gone off. So she's sitting on the track without calling the engine up. As soon as power goes to the track, the chip senses the power and the sound comes on. So here we go. So there you are. Nice Class 66 sound. There's also little poppet valve noises as well, that's part of the sound. That's automatic, you can't turn that off, so she will pop. There she goes. So that's part of the chip. Now, as I said, I just turned the power on, so there's no lights on the locomotive. If I didn't have the locomotive called up, and I haven't, you have to program the loco in. So I'm going to do that now. So I've now got the loco on my controller, so I can now turn the lights on. There we are. I'll go through 3 horns because function 1 is not needed because the sound comes on as soon as power comes onto the track. Function 1 is another horn. Function 2, he says. Well, I did that twice, sorry, that's my fault. And function 3, there you are. Not too bad. At this stage, I can turn the sound, I can stop the sound. I can either mute it by doing function 8, and she mutes it, but she's still on. Function 8 again, the sound comes back. But if you didn't actually want the sound on, you hit 6. And 6 is just like turning the power off. The other thing this does, whilst it's stationary, you can play with the engine sounds. You know, you can increase engine revs. So what the Americans like to do is they sort of say, oh, the difference between running light or running a heavy train. So I'm going to put the engine back on. Right, so she's now idling. But without increasing, you know, without touching the throttle, I'm touching F5. You can hear it? Now the idea of that is there's a little bit of thrashing going on, so that if you was to mimic pulling a heavy load. And then obviously F6 just to take it back down again. And that's back to idle. So if I was to accelerate, she will start accelerating again away, and the engine revs will go up as if it's a light loco at this stage. So let's see what we get. So there you are, and that's the sound, not bad at all. That's a single iPhone speaker rated at 8 ohms, so that's what you need. I don't bother with any of these bass speakers. I think the iPhone speakers are fantastic for what they are. You know, the sound they give out, well, yeah, I don't need a bass job. This is more than enough sound than what I need. I'm going to slow it down, bring it in. That pulled away a little bit sharpish because I had it on 28 speed steps. Now see, she stopped. So I'm going to change the speed step to 128. That's it. And now what I'll do now, so she's back on idle, is I'm going to increase the revs before I actually increase the speed. So it's like, although she's got nothing behind it, you can imagine if it's pulling a heavy ballast, you know, wagon load. So here we go. So no movement, but thrashing of the engine. Speed step 1, so now we've got a nice control thing. And now of course the speed of the engine will take over anyway as she starts to accelerate. So I didn't do anything else to that. So it takes a little bit of getting used to the way the Americans like to do things. As I say, it's probably give you a heart attack if you're not used to it. You come in and you turn your layout on, and all of a sudden your engine. I mean, I've only got the one, but I should imagine if you've got a few of them, if they're all on their tracks, as soon as they get power, they will start up. It's part of the way that this chip company want to sell their products. You get used to it; it's fine. And it's absolutely excellent. She's running really well. I mean, obviously the loco's running well, but what I'm saying is that the sound performs all right. Certainly does enough for me. You know, I mean, there's so many functions, aren't there, on these decoders? You know, sort of like cab door shutting and things like that. I don't think I've ever used them. I think the only time I've ever used them is when you first put the sound chip in a loco and you go through the functions just to see what it does. Other than that, other than to have the sound on and a horn maybe, I don't use any of the other functions. But yeah, I'm over the moon. I've got myself a lovely mint loco, a very, very good price, needed to say, and I think a good priced sound decoder. I mean, you know, to think that you can get the same sound decoder to fit inside the 37, and it's easy peasy. It's only a CV change to change from the 6 locos that it comes programmed with. I think default is a class 20. I don't know what it would do to the speed. You know, if you got it, if you had a class 66 on a Bachmann 37 or a 37 programmed loco on a class 66. I don't know if that would affect the running of the engine, you know. But this is certainly running fine. There you go, isn't it? That's not too bad. And I'll show you something else that I've recently discovered with my 66s. As I say, I do super detail them, you know, with the parts that come with them. But what I've never been able to do on a class 66 Bachmann before is obviously have the air dam on the back. Sucks a bit, so maybe I can adjust the CV for the acceleration and deceleration, but as it is, that's only because I quickly turn the throttle. And if I was a bit slower, I mean, I can do, this is speed step 1. That's 2, and then you hear the engine speeding up. And then obviously if I'm slow coming down, she doesn't stop instantly. It's just down to how the operator controlled it, and I just hit the control too quickly and slowed it down. So maybe it's not the CV's need setting, it's me knowing how to control the loco a bit better and properly drive it. But yeah, lovely looking loco, really happy with it. As I say, it's super detailed the front end. So you've got the air dam on, you've got the pipes and things like that. I'm going to turn the sound off. So I shut it down because I'm going to take off the track, because I'll show you what I do to the rear. Because I've got an air dam on the rear as well, and yes, it will still have the NEM coupling on it as well. But what you have to do, guys, is now let's see if I can take this off. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see there? Just like Hornby do on their class 60 and their class 70, they've done this. No, not the class. On the class 60, yeah. They do this whereby you take away a section of the dam, and that allows then for the I've got to put the NEM coupler in there obviously yet, because this thing had to glue, because that's the only thing you've got to glue it, because in order to get that aperture so that you can put the NEM coupling through it, you do have to cut away the mounting lugs that come on the back of the air dam that normally comes with the Bachmann model. But I don't mind, because what I couldn't stand is the fact that on the 66s, you had you had the air dam at the front, and then at the back end you could just see the bogie. Whereas now, it's part of the air dam is there now. As I say, Hornby do it with their class 60, and Dapol do it with their class 68s. And I thought to myself, I wonder if it's possible. And trial and error. The reason why that hole is so big is because this layout uses 2nd and 3rd radius curves, and that's what's needed to go from side to side for the NEM coupler to not hit the air dam. So it has to be that size hole, that size deep, to let the NEM coupler go through. As I say, I will attach it, and it's very easy to stick on. But you do have to cut away the mounting lugs, and you have to be quite dexterous with a sharp scalpel, modelling knife, scalpel I use. But yeah, quite straightforward. I'm going to put that down on. If I put this on the track, and she's going to pick up power. Don't short out the track Peter. So that might be a bit annoying to you, I don't know. You see, it's got no lights on it because it's not picked up the fact that, you know, I've got control of this locomotive. Yeah, I've got it on the controller, but I've now got to go back and put the lights back on it. There we go. So there we are, guys. This, what's it called? An Econami Soundtraxx. Look on Hatton's website. They say they do 4 versions. They do an 8-pin and 21-pin for UK diesels, and they do the same 8-pin 21-pin for UK steam. I don't know what the steam engines are that it's got, but I think it's the same thing, that it's got more than one class steam locomotive that's been put on the chip, so you can choose. But I think myself, when you can't get hold of a Hornby TTS decoder at a more budget price without going to the real wallet busting price of the ESU lock sounds, you know, over 100 odd quid. Okay, 70 quid. That's not exactly cheap, but one chip and it covers 6 locomotives. I mean, that's, you know, great. Single iPhone speaker, couple of quid, and that's it. You're off. So, well, there we are. So my layout's fine. This I've just put on the track. I haven't cleaned the track today, and yet this has been running around lovely. So it just means that my layout is coming back to me. I am able to run trains, but it's a bit too cold. But obviously this one being a new loco, I came down and I wanted to see that she was going to be running all right. And yeah, straight out the box, or, you know, it's mint. I'm so chuffed, you know, for once I've got a bargain off of eBay, so I'm well happy. Right, going to sign off. Just wish you all a happy Christmas if I don't speak to you again beforehand, who knows. But yeah, just keep modelling, you know, Robert, Alan, fantastic, your new, you know, revamped layout. Those sidings really looks the part, you know, and all your lighting. Well, there's a thing going on with lights at the moment. Alan at Dragon Junction, and there's the other geezer at Lakeside. You're all going mad with all your lights at the moment. I've bought a light, but it's that one there. It doesn't work, you know. It's a dummy. Oh dear, never mind. But anyway, yeah. So happy Christmas, guys. If I don't speak to you beforehand, hope you all voted yesterday. No, don't want to get into politics. Let's not bring that into anything. Spoil your enjoyment of me trains. Well, it's a bit of a relief though, isn't it? Because Labour want to nationalise all the railways again. I'm just thinking, I'm just buying all these locos with all these different liveries and everything. They'll all be, you know, all of a sudden, we'll all be back to the, you know, GB railways again. So I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do with all my liveried locos? I'll be stuck in an era then, won't I? I won't be able to sort of say, yeah, our model 2020, because it would have all been nationalised British Rail again. But that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment, so it's not going to happen. So everything's hunky-dory in my world, and I hope it is all in yours. All right, guys. Madman that I am, I sign off saying all the best, everybody, all the best. Bye.